Welcome to Reigniting You, where we talk all things career transition for those age 40 plus. I'm Lisa Downs, Seattle-based career and retirement transition coach. Great to be here with you today, and our producer, Eric. Hey, Eric, how's it going today?
Hey, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, Lisa. It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
Pretty good, thanks. Got some sunshine today, and
yes,
nice. So great show lined up for today. We've got some excellent listener questions that have come in. Excited to get to those. It's the second week of the month, so that means it's time once again for our Ask Lisa episode, a regular feature. I'll be answering listeners' career transition questions by providing a few tips and insights, and we'll get started right after this first break. Hi, I'm Lisa Downs, career and retirement transition coach and host of Reigniting You on KKNW. I guide age 40-plus professionals to gain clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and a career transition plan within 90 days so you can lead a fulfilling life regardless of your age. No longer does change have to mean riding off into the proverbial sunset. Let's talk about what your next phase of life can look like. Visit yournewaspect.com or call me at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching. Fresh perspectives for your career.
What's your story? Have you ever sat with that question and looked to your heart for the answer? It's time to explore the real you. Tune in Thursdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the brand new show, Story You, with Coach Debbie. Debbie and her guests have a mission to inspire and coach you to find your voice. If you need direction, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. If you want to be an author, Story You with Coach Debbie is for you. Tune in Thursdays at 4 p.m. and be inspired.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that focuses on all aspects of making mid to late career transitions. Just a note that in case you missed it here on KKNW, that you can catch Voices of Experience with host Paul Casey this Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. on KIXI. Voices shines a light on people with experience in their fields of travel, public affairs, adventure, health, and fitness, with an emphasis on sustaining your own business. That's Voices of Experience this Sunday at 9 a.m. on AM 880 KIXI. So, Eric, we've got another good batch of questions today.
I love it.
Fun to get to those. So another varied crop came in. So our first question is from Joyce in Burlington, who shares that she's been trying to get a new job and is discouraged because it's taking a lot longer than she thought, and asks, what can I do as an older worker to make my case? Well, thanks for that, Joyce. And that's an excellent question to ask these days because, it's interesting. On one hand, you see articles and, things online and stuff in the newspaper that some employers are struggling to fill roles.
Yeah.
And then in other cases, it really depends on the industry. The market's pretty tight. But have you noticed that, Eric? Just more press about kind of the flux of the job market?
Absolutely. Excuse me. And it seems like most of the jobs that they're struggling to fill tend to be the lower wage jobs.
Yep.
That a lot of folks, fair enough, don't necessarily want to go back to, especially if they don't have health benefits and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm not sure how much they're struggling to fill a higher wage jobs, though. It seems like those are getting filled pretty quick, but I haven't seen all the data. So
yeah, it seems like it. And of course, there's a lot of variables still with things not necessarily being fully open. People
Right.
still having to do childcare at home, and
that's
just
a big
things
thing.
being uncertain. So yeah, it's just interesting. I think we're gonna have a bit of a rocky road here for a while.
Yeah, well, it is a
until things
transitional
smooth
period
out.
for
It
sure.
is.
With the pandemic kind of looks like it's tapering off. We don't know
We don't
100% for sure what will happen, but things are looking positive. But yeah, I've been surprised by all this emphasis on getting people back to work before people have been fully vaccinated even,
Yeah.
It just seemed like we were putting the cart before the horse in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it does seem like it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just an interesting time and really a weird market. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, just kind of maybe have to write it out a bit. And Joyce, what I recommend too is to help make the case for yourself is to just focus on your accomplishments. So, accomplishments you've had, results you've gotten for employers, drawing on the deep well of skills you developed over time, your professional network, how that you can leverage that to help get work done and with a new employer, as well as just those examples of how you've learned new things, how you use social media, so stay tech savvy. Any examples like that can be helpful as an older worker. And then, if you have younger folks in your circle, you could ask them to, give you some feedback in terms of how you might be projecting yourself or positioning yourself that unknowingly you might be dating yourself. So, doing something that might indicate that you're older and, to guard against ageism, you may just want to talk to some younger folks or younger colleagues too to see, hey, can you look at my resume, my LinkedIn profile, how I'm talking about myself, the skills I have listed, and get their input too. It just depends on the industry you're in or going after. You can also target more age-friendly organizations. So I know the AARP, they've got a website that's about their employer pledge program. So that's basically a program where employers have signed a pledge to hire older workers and be age-friendly. There's also a website called workforce50.com that you may want to check out. So they have job listings for folks over age 50 and higher. So just check out those resources as well. Hopefully that provides you with a bit of help as we're, here in just a really interesting, fluctuating job market, until hopefully things will smooth out a little more as we go deeper into 2021. But those are my initial thoughts. So I hope that's helpful for you. Our next question is from Roger in Bellevue, and he shares that he's job hopped quite a bit and is concerned that he's torpedoed, as he says, torpedoed his chances with future employers because of that. And he asks, what can I do to assure them that I am looking for a longer term role and do want to stay longer term somewhere? So thanks, Roger, for that one. I definitely hear you and feel for you with that. I am someone who has hopped around quite a bit in my career, so it's a big reason why these days I'm independent. and so I think my longest tenure anywhere, and I started in the workforce long about 1992 when I was out of college and had part-time jobs before that. But my longest tenure anywhere was, I think, 4 years. So I tended to go about every couple years or so, 2 to 3 years. I would get bored. There wasn't much beyond the initial projects that I had and different roles that I landed in internally with places. So I'm someone who I need a lot of variety and get bored easily. So if I don't have different types of work to do and different, types of people to work with. So I definitely hear you on that. So to help with this, what I would recommend is just explain how you've, taken all this time to build your career and that now you're in a situation where you want to find a work home that will allow you to stay and engage with the organization to contribute to its success, results of the future employer over time. Again, kind of emphasize the strengths and the skills that you bring, what the organization would get, the benefits that they would get if they hired you. And just, talk about how you're in a different place, right now in terms of your life and your career. And it's no longer necessarily about going after continuous opportunities to perhaps, if you're not looking to move up a ladder anymore, and just tell that story and be clear about that and exactly what you're looking for and that you are looking for a longer term home from that regard. What are your thoughts on that one, Eric?
I think you really, it's a good idea to kind of explain your intentions. If you see like a weak spot in how you're presenting yourself to potential businesses that would hire you, like, but I wonder how much of that he needs to disclose, I mean,
Yeah,
as far
not
as,
a lot.
yeah. And for when you're putting together a resume, do you really need to, at this day and age, emphasize the dates that you were at a place and maybe more emphasis on the skills and strengths that you've
Yeah.
achieved or accumulated with these various jobs,
Yeah, for sure. It's like you could definitely go with more of what they call a functional resume
Right.
format, where it's less of the traditional chronological piece, and you have concern about that. And really, you don't want to go back on your resume any more than 10 to 15 years anyway. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of that you can leave off. And yeah, I think these days too, it's just more generally accepted that people will move around as
Right.
opposed to it was even 10 years ago. So. But yeah, there's not a whole lot you have to disclose, and can definitely work with that for sure.
Yeah, I would think if you were at a place for less than a year that you'd probably just omit that from
Omit
your
that.
resume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I had some stints that just did not work out, or they look good on paper, and then there wasn't really anything behind the job description where I was out. I was like, I can't do this, and I left after like 90 days. I had a couple of those in my career, and I just don't even talk about those, include
Right.
those. So yeah, that's just a good way to handle that for sure. Cool. Well, thanks you, Joyce and Roger, for those questions. It's already time for our next break. So when we come back, I'll answer some additional listener career transition questions and preview what we've got coming up next week.
Are you feeling challenged or frustrated without a plan for what's next in your career and life? Are you seeing writings on the wall for needing to make a mid to late career change and don't know how or what to do? Coach Lisa Downs of New Aspect Coaching can guide you to what's next, providing a fresh perspective and supporting you to create a clear and compelling vision for your future and a plan to move forward. Call Lisa at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
This is Rob Bass, and I want you to tune in to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller, the show that brings joy from pain, sunshine where it rains. Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. And that's coming from me, Mr. It Takes Two, Rob Bass. Tune in.
Do what Rob Bass says. Take a listen to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. That's me, Tuesdays from 3 to 4 on KKNW. To find out more information, check out my website, staceyconnects.com, or text DAMTT to 55678.
Hello, I'm Nathan Mum. Join me and Mike Roday as we host a weekly technology show that talks about technology for the everyday common person. We are a live radio program that airs Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you go to facebook.com/TechTime Radio, youtube.com/TechTime Radio, or twitch.tv/TechTime Radio, you can catch us live Saturdays from 4 to 5 p.m. You can find us at all podcast services online, from Apple to Google and everything in between.
Have a career transition related question or want to share your best or worst job story? Call 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496. Just leave a voicemail and we'll answer your question or share your story on a future show. Stay tuned for more Reigniting You with Lisa Downs.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that discusses timely issues and topics about career transitions for Gen Xers and Boomers. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. Just a reminder that if you'd like to get in touch, you can go to my website, yournewaspect.com. There you can sign up for my career tips that come out once a week. You can take my free career transition readiness quiz. And if you go to services and group programs in the main menu, you can also access some free webinars I'm doing this summer. So the first one's coming up on June 24th, And then there are options for July and August as well to sign up for a free seminar about making encore career moves. So feel free to check everything out at yournewaspect.com. We're continuing our episode focused on my answering listener questions called Ask Lisa, a regular feature the second week of each month. And I'm here with our producer, Eric. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on terms of what older workers bring to an organization?
Yeah, I'd say they bring a lot, experience and, the conversational ability. If you're in anything that involves sales whatsoever, a lot of the younger generation who, I won't badmouth generations or because, everybody is different. But just broadly speaking, being raised with technology, just having conversations via phone, for instance, or in person can be tougher for folks that are used to texting and emailing, and people that were raised, before some of the technology, email and text and stuff, can have both sets of skills. Not to say that younger folks can't learn those skills or whatever, but it just broadly speaking here, it seems like that's one case where the older person may have an advantage.
Yeah, I agree. It's really about that interpersonal communication, making that human-to-human connection. And I think a lot of that has been lost over the years with tech, which, tech is great.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
helps us in many ways. And yet, it's not necessarily everything when it comes to human interaction. And I agree. And just what comes with wisdom and experience and being able to take different approaches with things. And I agree with that wholeheartely. And I know, you and I are kind of that straddling generation
Exactly.
where, I still remember taking typing class in high school on an electric typewriter. And then when I got to college, learning keyboarding, and then, really having to learn a lot of the technology here as we go. And so, you and I are of an age where we had a little of both, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah. But the ones who've been raised with it, the tech natives, I think I agree that, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the interpersonal human-to-human conversation and connection can be a struggle.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
for
And they
sure.
may excel more with the technological
Yep.
area. And, that can be somewhat of a struggle for older folks. But that doesn't mean in either case that either group can't just learn those skills. But, when you're native to something, as you say, it's easier.
Yeah, it is for sure. Well, thanks for that. And our next question is from Jenny in Spokane, who shares that she's thinking about changing industries, though isn't sure what to do yet. She's been working in banking for a long time, is ready for a change, and she asks, what are some good industries to consider that could benefit from my experience and background? Well, thanks for that, Jenny. Yeah, so you might want to consider industries that, again, kind of value people who are in their mid to late career and, a bit older age-wise. So considering industries, well, of course, senior services is only going to continue to grow. So, senior services, healthcare, those are great industries to consider. With your banking background, you may want to consider financial advising. That could be a route to go. Wealth, financial advising, working with nonprofits or professional associations could be something to consider. Of course, government work, working in education, or additional industries that, could benefit from your wisdom. But I would say go with the industries that, no matter what happens, they are always going to be needed, always going to be there. So the ones that, seem pretty steady, pretty stable over time, and that the roles in those industries are going to be needed frequently. And if you kind of think ahead, with our aging population, anything that taps into that could probably be a good bet. So that would be my recommendation there for that one. And then our next question is from Melanie in Kansas City. So thanks, Melanie. That's cool. Who asks, how can I avoid the urge to leave my profession when I feel burned out? She shares that the demands of her current work have started to feel like it's too much, though is also worried about finding something else if she leaves. Well, thanks so much for asking that, Melanie, and uh, absolutely understand that. So, these days with go, go, go and the demands of technology and, in some cases, the expectation that we are available 24/7 and, always on, can definitely contribute to those feelings of burnout. Or, if you're in a situation where it's just the work keeps getting piled on and nothing's being taken out from the bottom of the pile, so to speak, in terms of the work that you're being given, that it's so easy to feel burned out and stressed, combining that with everything that's been going on the last year with the pandemic and demands that you may have at home. So completely understand that. And it's really important during these times to really make an intentional effort to schedule time for self-care as best you can. So if you need to block out an hour to go take a walk, to get outside, to meditate, to make sure you're getting food, to run, do something that you enjoy for a brief amount of time, schedule time to do that. And of course, spending time with family and friends as you can is important too. Talk things out with people who like and trust. Remember what you do enjoy about the work to help focus on that. And it's also helpful to identify exactly what's causing the feelings of burnout. And is there something you can do to address that? Enlist help of other people, maybe enlist the support of your boss to say, hey, I'm getting to the point where this is really starting to impact me from a health perspective. I need some, your guidance in terms of what I can do to ease, my workload or how I'm going about things. So is that a possibility, depending on your work environment and if you feel psychologically safe at work to have those types of conversations. But, I recommend just, focus on what you can control, make the time for self-care and talk to people. So just to get support, it's really important when you're feeling burned out to get that social support as well. What do you think, Eric, on that one? Burnout, that's something that affects a lot of people, and I've been seeing that more and more these days.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything that you said, and I think, it is important to set boundaries. Just you shouldn't have to be on the clock 24/7.
Yeah.
So if you're fielding emails at midnight, it might be time to take a look at that and say, okay, yes, I want to keep in touch with what's going on, even if it comes in late, but maybe I'll set a specific time, like 9:30 or something, to check in and just make sure everything's okay so I can relax and go to bed on time,
Right.
And then if there's an emergency, there's an emergency, but 99% of the time, you don't have to be looking at every single email. A lot of stuff can wait till the morning, till you're back on the clock. So I think having those boundaries and knowing yourself, because some people are just going to be more stressed with not checking that email.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking maybe a specific time that you could set to check in and just make sure everything's okay would be helpful.
Yeah. And I think so much of it is about, setting those expectations, right?
Yeah.
For availability. And I always say email is not urgent.
Right.
If it was urgent, they could text or call or instant message, right? It's like, to me, email is not urgent. So just, doing what you need to do to set those expectations and set those boundaries.
It's important that the people that you're dealing with know that the emails
so
not urgent.
Clearly communicate. You can always use your autoresponder too.
Right.
So if you're, doing concentrated work, I always recommend, hey, just set an autoresponder and say, this is what I'm doing. Here's when I'll be checking email next. Thanks for your message. We'll reply during this time. But, so much of it, too, is that expectation setting with support from
Agreed.
folks. So, yeah. And, the good thing is we're headed into summer here pretty soon, amazingly. So it's a great time, too, to do that self-care by getting outside, doing activities that you enjoy. So, Eric, with the summer coming up, what are some of your favorite activities to do this time of year to help relieve your stress?
I love taking a ride on my bike, just getting out there in the neighborhood, and taking the dog for a walk. I love going out, doing some camping and hiking whenever possible. So really anything, that involves some fresh air is good. Yeah.
We're the same. We have a tandem bicycle, which is fun.
Oh, nice.
So we'll get the tandem out and go on bike rides. We like to hike, take walks. We also like to be local tourists and go explore parks that we haven't, been to or not for a long time, or go knock around downtown, to the waterfront, that type of thing. But
our area has so much to offer, and it's easy to take it for granted, and think, I got to get out of town to have some fun. But really, there's so much right at our doorsteps that a lot of time we just don't take advantage of, but we should.
That's right. Get some fresh air and sunshine, everybody. So that goes for all of us, right? Get that fresh air, do that self-care, and get out there to have some stress and anxiety relief.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do for that, for sure. And thanks so much, Jenny and Melanie, for your questions. Hope it was helpful for everybody. And if you have a career transition question, go ahead and send an email to reignitingyou@gmail.com or call 360-436-6496 to leave a voicemail with your first name and location to ask it over audio, and you can use a pseudonym. That's 360-436-6496. I'll then share it live on the air the second week of July. It's time for my reignition recommendation, a tip of the week to reignite your career and life, regardless of your age. My suggestion for you today is to let go of any guilt or feelings of being selfish when in career transition. Sometimes we think that when we focus on ourselves that we have to feel guilty about that, or that it's selfish to do that. But really, it's the opposite. So when you can spend time to do your self-care, to take care of what you need to do, to get things straightened out in terms of your goals and vision for career transition, in the long run, you will be able to be there more fully for other people in your life and take care of those who you need to take care of. It's much better than being burned out, or, which can turn into a lot of stress or health issues, or being unhappy with where you're at with things. So taking that time for yourself is really important, and to focus again on kind of what you can do to get to where you want to be. And just a reminder again that if you'd like to get in touch, you can head on over to yournewaspect.com to reach me. Check out my free career transition quiz, as well as sign up for my Career Tips e-newsletter. Well, thanks, Eric, for helping out with the show today, as always. And join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock when my guest will be Babs Plunkett, author of the book Choose Joy, 3 Keys to Investing Your Time in Retirement. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week on Reigniting You.